Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is a film directed by Christopher McQuarrie and produced by Tom Cruise, giving us the final part of the Reckoning. If you're unfamiliar, the last two Mission Impossible films are Part 1 and Part 2. This is the 8th film in the franchise. The 7th was kind of I wouldn't say the movie was underwhelming, but it did underwhelming at the box office. I thought the movie was well directed, but it was a little bit indulgent with its running time because it tried to stretch a narrative into 2 films. So the first movie of the duology has plenty of action, but not much in terms of payoff or whatever. You're basically just mostly set up, introducing the main villains. The main villain is the Entity. It's this AI thing that's learning, and it's got acolytes, one of them being Gabriel, someone from Ethan's past who's like become his sort of prophet or whatever, and there's also like vicious underlings, mercenaries, killers. And this movie is the second part, and it's the payoff. All of the good stuff happens in this movie. I did count, the movie has 5 action sequences, but only one of them is a fight scene. So it feels like the movie doesn't have that much action, and I guess, for a 3-hour film, you'd want a little bit more, but the basic minimum, if you don't know, for action movies is 5 set pieces. That's the basic minimum. Any more is a bonus. So the movie does have the 5 sequences, but they're spread out a little bit. It doesn't feel like an action-packed movie. The movie's entertaining, and it definitely has all of the payoffs and all the stuff that you didn't get in the Part 7. Especially like the usage of the characters, though, this time around. For example, Paris gets more to do, and so does Shea Whigham's character, because he doesn't get to do much in the 7th film. Same with the other guy, Shea Whigham's character's partner. We get more from Grace, of course, because she was only introduced in the last film. And they throw a few more interesting people in there, faces from the past like Kittredge and others like that. The movie does have some callbacks, and it definitely does feel like the movie series finale. Like they won't make any more after this. The plot is very simple. Essentially, Ethan and his little crew are basically tasked with using the key to find something at the bottom of a submarine sunken in 2012. However, in order to do so, Ethan's going to have to convince the president to help him. Meanwhile, Gabriel has his own agenda against the Entity, and so does the Entity. So there are little hiccups along the plan, but I kind of feel like the Entity doesn't have much to do in this movie. And in the 7th film, it had more of a presence. In this one, it's kind of in the background, and Gabriel's kind of more to the forefront, really. And there's more. It doesn't feel like it does feel like the scope is bigger this time around. I didn't like the music. The music this time around wasn't that good. It was very repetitive. Whatever you hear in the movie trailer, they kind of just reuse that over and over. It's because Lauren Bell, he walked off of this film. They had a disagreement or something. But back to the story. The first half of this movie is basically them trying to find the thing at the bottom of the submarine, and there's lots of thrilling set pieces and things like that. This movie gets dangerously close into parody mode. I mean that in the sense that there's like, it kind of feels like a Fast and Furious movie. You got your main character, he's so awesome, he cares about family, he's got his crew, he won't sacrifice them for anything, he'll do anything it takes to, save the world, but also his friends, and that's kind of very samey as the Fast and Furious franchise. But there's also a lot of president scenes in this movie, and then like characters like the Secretary of Defense and aides and all sorts of characters going like, you can't do that, Mrs. President, or whatever. It's like, you have to do this before the nukes go off. And of course, the stakes being so high with nuclear annihilation being the sort of consequence of everything, it definitely feels like a little bit too much going on. They introduced nukes in the 4th film, and that was kind of the big plot thing, that a villain wanted nuclear Armageddon, so 1 nuke was the threat. Now it's like 50, So they sort of have some more impossible stuff going on, to the point where it almost pushes on the incredulity of the entire thing, and it definitely threatens to become over-bloated and indulgent at times. But overall, it's a very thrilling movie. It's 3 hours almost, but I felt it was not that long. The pacing was pretty good for me. It was very entertaining. Good usage of all the characters. It still has your action, your 5 sequences. And overall, if this is the finale of the entire franchise, then I'd say it's a pretty darn good one. So I enjoyed Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and I give it a 7 out of 10.